Welcome back. Good morning again. Okay. Sorry, my camera looks a bit blurred. Unusual. Okay. Right. What I want to look at this morning is fixings and cleaning. Now, what do I mean by fixing and cleaning? That's to be able to identify appropriate fixings, to be able to state why maintenance is important. And we do have to have maintenance on electrical installation systems. Okay. Now, why do we need fixings and why do we need maintenance? One, we need to make sure that cables are well supported. Two, we need to make sure that if the cables are hung outside, that they're out of reach and cannot be pulled on by vandals or anything of the sort, and that they're well secured, and that they will support the stress created by the cable without causing damage to the cable. Cleaning of joints. Now, when you're doing soldering of any joints, you need to use plenty of flux to make sure that joint is cleaned properly before you try to seal it. Because if you seal it and there's a gap in it, that gap is going to create problems for you. It will cause corrosion and it's going to kind of chemicalize. Well, that's what I call it basically. Oxidize, I think is the appropriate word, somewhere along the lines. And that's what you don't want because then it then builds up a resistance of its own and the joint becomes a high resistance joint, and that is something you want to avoid, basically. Okay, let me get to work. Let's see what we can do from here. Okay, and come on, give me a break. I don't need you. Still don't need you. Give me you. Okay, give me you. Drop you on. Okay, what we can do? Yeah. Okay, let's. Have I got you? Yeah. Okay. Don't do me what you did to me. Okay. Mm-hmm. You still need it. Okay, let's look at again sitting gills. Okay, we're dealing with. Okay, and we're looking at fixings and cleaning. I repeat, fixings and cleaning, and that's the video you need to look up. Okay, to be able to identify appropriate fixings, to be able to state why maintenance is important. Okay, just a review of stuff that we've covered already. Okay, recap session. Okay, okay. Fixing devices. Now, the following slides contain a few of the common fixing devices. It is not exhaustive. There are many more. You should remember, don't take shortcuts. Choose the right method of fixing for type of material being fixed into. Okay. If you are using any particular fixing mechanism, don't remove anything from it. You might weaken its ability to perform a job. Choose the right fitting for the setting. Choose the right screws, etc. when fixing accessories. Now here we have some connectors, and here we have connectors. We have some lugs. We have some crimp push-ons. Okay, and we have circular clips. Now we have cables here, clips here that we can just crimp. So we have a crimping tool. The cable is terminated by being pushed into the poles and then crimped tight to give a good electrical and mechanical joint. This type of connection device is usually used for smaller cables and conductors up to 6 mil. So you should be familiar with your crimping tool to make sure that you could make a good connection and always keep your crimping tool clean. Lugs. Now here we have some lugs. These are usually used for larger conductors and need special equipment to terminate cable into them, meaning that you need a blowtorch basically and solder with flux for cleaning basically. Okay. Now insulation displacement. Now, this method of termination is found in electronics and telecommunications. Mainly, your cable are just pushed into a slot blade, something like an insulated razor, and they just cut into the cables, okay, allowing you to join them basically if you need to. Simple as that. You'll find this on mainly telecommunications, basically, actually. The termination cuts into the insulation and makes a joint. This is not used for larger cables, okay? It's only small cable sizes which would this apply to. Protecting terminations. No, this is simply looking at protecting termination, the idea of looking at ceiling rolls, three-plate ceiling rolls, cables coming in, cables going out. Look at your cable forming into a loop to prevent damage uh, going on a wall, or you have your sunken box into a wall and you've dropped your conduit into the wall. Now, you can still use capping, of course, but I prefer to use capping rather than conduit. Of course, capping allows you to be, not to have to go too deep, but deep enough to allow the plastering to take place without affecting or creating a bulge. Your fixings here, you have very type. There are lots of different type of wall plugs. Okay, you got wall plugs, of course. You got roundhead screws, countersunk screws. You have coarse bolts and so forth. Okay, so be sure that you're using the right bolts for the job that you're on and that you have in mind. Here we have some roll bolts, okay, and these are very proficient. They will hold anything in place for quite some time. I think the only thing that goes on these is the spring and hold it in place over time, but my goodness me, that would take a while for that to occur. We got butterfly clips, toggle bolts, okay. These clips are useful when fixing into plasterboard and hollow walls, okay. Crumpets and snap-on fixings. This type of crumpet is used to hold conduit in place. The girder clip has to be hammered firmly onto the girder. Remember, you do not drill girders, okay? Because you'll weaken the structure of the girder. You do not drill girders at any point in time or anywhere. Never drill girders, okay? nuts, bolts, and rivets. Okay, riveting. The most common rivet is the pop rivet. It is used with a rivet gun. Bolts are used just about everywhere, from holding up bridges to keeping the smallest object in place. There are lots of different threads. Making good and clearing up. Okay, now if you make a mess in somebody's house when you do an installation, it is your responsibility to clean it up. Okay, right? So if you chisel out the wall, don't take off and leave all the dirt from the chiseled wall on the floor. Your job is to make sure it is clean and tidy. Okay, when you're plastering back, or if the plasterer coming behind you, then you need to make sure that he knows that he can proceed plastering without having to be too concerned about whether you've done your job or not. But the chase, you are going to plaster mix some fill in plaster, browning, okay, but we're not going to go into that too much. You can read this for yourself, okay? So, ouch. Okay. Hollow walls. When filling a hollow wall, the best option is to cut out a spare piece of plaster board to fill the hole. The use of blanking plates might be another option. Okay. Floors. Before lifting the floorboard, remove tongue and groove. If you must use a circular saw, make sure the blade is shallower than the board. In short terms, never use a circular saw basically, okay? Because you could be cutting through pipe work, you could be cutting through other cables. You simply use hand saw and keep it simple. Never take up more than you need. Remove any nails that are sticking out. Don't leave nails sticking up because that's a danger. You'll step on that nail and it will go through your foot. You will know about it. And when you're putting back the floorboards, make sure you do not trap any cables because you'll be surprised as to how many people actually created an earth fault when they put a nail through a cable when they were putting back the floorboard. Okay? Clearing up. There are a number of reasons for tidying up as you go. You can always see where your tools are. Hygiene, health, and safety. Okay? And it will keep the client happy. Removing waste materials. Waste materials should not be swept onto the floorboards. The waste electrical and electronic equipment, we Directive 6 to deal with the way that waste electrical equipment is disposed of. Okay, I hope you found this useful. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Okay, I'm gonna have to run here. Okay, I gotta take over here. Okay, thank you. Oh goodness me, you look a bit darkish. Okay. All right, thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.